Let's do roll call. Becky Turnus. Here. Julie Osmond. Here. Alexander Williams.
Here.
Gina Reed Hitler. Here. John Breckenridge.
Here.
All right, thank you very much, Shelley. Now it's time for our first participation from the community. Anybody who wishes to talk to City Council, please come forward. Be sure you speak into the mic so I guess if anybody's watching on TV, they can see and hear. And please write down your address and your phone number and
I'm Wayne Evans. I live at 9488 Heritage Hills, just south of town here. And I'm here to talk about the workforce housing project. I want to make it clear, I'm either for it or against it. I do have some reservations about it. It's like that.
Thank you.
Like this.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Okay. First thing I'd like to know, I only got 5 minutes. Don't want to be rude. I'm going to have to rush myself. Is there any money from Cameron taxpayers going to go towards the infrastructure of this project? I'm talking about street, curb guttering, sewer, water lines, power lines, street lights, any of that. Are we going to pay any money at all for that?
Well, tax credits we do, because these guys are getting tax credits.
I understand that.
So, but no, no.
Is my tax money going to go for it?
No,
Everybody's tax dollars are going to go for it. The citizen.
Some money, but yes. No.
So the city of Cameron is not going to be out any money for the infrastructure on that project.
Well, once it's accepted as a part of Cameron, we will maintain it.
That's my next question.
Is that correct?
Wayne, typically what happens is we do not respond to questions that are here because this will allow the staff to go back and find the correct answers for your answer rather than maybe make something that we might be incorrect and quoted on. So we'll come back and we'll get the absolute answer for you.
Stephen, we're not at my coffee group up here. Come on. I just want to.
I'll have it by then.
Okay.
We would be on the hook for utilities and such, right?
What I'm getting at
They
is,
would purchase those utilities from the city of Cameron.
okay,
So that would be, I don't know, technically more revenue for
Okay.
Cameron.
please. From what I understand, it's going to cost us money to put that on the streets and stuff out there. None? Who's going to pay for that? The grants and stuff?
Tax
Okay.
credits.
Tax credits, okay. All right. The next question was, we're going to be responsible for the upkeep of that, which is expensive.
We don't know that for sure.
Well, who would do that? Ms. Olson?
That would be one of the questions that Mr. Rasmussen would need to get the answer to.
Right.
I don't see, is Pete here?
Yeah. We're going to talk to Pete later.
Well, okay. All right. Then, oh, hey, are you Mr. Ransel?
Yes, I am.
I got a question for you, sir. In this, you said that you guys are going to, it says here, Mr. Ransel stated they would also have an after-school program from 3 to 6 with local teachers providing tutoring. Who's going to fund that?
We are.
Now, are you, who are you, CRA or HC?
Wayne, that's my question. I will ask those questions.
Okay,
I promise. I got that.
you got that. Well, what's the answer?
Well, we'll discuss it when he comes forward, and we're going to talk about this later today. So if you want to tell us what you think about it, that's fine. If you need answers.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I think about it.
Okay.
Not too much. And I will tell you, I think the city can. And everybody here is always talking about bringing good people in, bringing good business in, advancing the city. Low-income housing is not the way to do that, I don't feel, at this point, because I've checked it. There is a lot of low-income housing regardless of what people think. I mean, a lot. More than what people think. And if a business or family is going to look at a small town to move to, and they come to Cameron, first thing I would do if I was me, I'm going to look at the streets, and then I'm going to look, hey, at the housing and the neighborhoods. And if it's full of low-income housing, and prison, marijuana facilities, I'm going to think twice about it. We need to get, I think, and develop stuff like the Aquatic Park, the ball fields out more stuff like that. Instead of putting our money in the infrastructure maintenance out here in the future, put it in something like that. We get too many people like that. But we got to be careful because this company owns dozens of these facilities across the nation, a lot of them. And there's an application process. They take applications from all across the country. And right now, the last few years, there's an influx into their station of people that we don't know anything about. A lot of criminal elements are coming in if you pay attention to what's going on. The federal government has a huge placement program for these millions of people they've let in over the years. Cameron, Missouri is ripe for that if we've got a lot of these places available. I say put our money into something that will bring middle class people and businesses in. And I heard the bell, so I guess I'm done.
Thank you, Lane.
Thank you.
Hey, you gotta get back with me, Steve.
I will for sure, and everyone else here.
Thank you for your comments and your courage.
Courage.
Anyone else?
I'd like to talk.
Come on up.
Do I get 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Really?
Right,
Yes.
right.
That was easy. I'm actually pretty surprised. Like this gentleman said right here, I don't know who he is, but he actually looks like a good man. He's been doing some homework, but it's going to be hard trying to get, admin around here. And that's what the whole country is here. But
Could we get your name, please?
And your address, please.
Kevin Mancito Silvera, 11.
Right on. There should be a slip right
This
down
slip?
underneath.
No, there's a tablet or
I'm
something.
sorry, right down underneath, there should be a piece of paper. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
And this won't be part of your 5 minutes.
We're all writing on a different one?
No, there wasn't one up there.
Man, I'm pretty nervous right now, to be dead honest.
Speaking in public is actually the greatest human fear.
I'm probably going to get a lot better in the next
We
year.
don't lie.
And you'll put your phone number there so I can get back to you.
Oh, really?
Yep.
You're going to get back to me? I feel special. All right, where are we going to start? We're going to start State of the Nation. This is a stone from small town, but this is what's really going on. Okay, it's a corporate new world order. That's what we're dealing with here. He knows it. You know it. She looks a little iffy. She knows it. I don't know. It's probably clean, but this is where we're going. This is where we're going, guys. This is how we're going to clean this up. We got to wake up. We got to wake up. First thing, you're trying to get everybody's guns. That's what they're doing. Then they did COVID-19, right? And what they do, they locked everybody down, right? The next plan after that is they're going to come after our power grid. And they're going to say that white nationalists, right-wingers, Christians, Nazis, aka Christians, they're not Nazis, working with the Russians, and yeah. And then after that, and everybody's down because the power will be out. You guys are taking this as a joke. This is dead serious. The power will go out. Then they're going to do a live bioweapon. It ain't going to be the fake one like the first time. It's going to be the real deal. Okay? People are going to start getting sick and everything. With no power, tell me how your lives are going to go. They're not going to go good. Okay? In game. Believe this or not, they're going to fake an alien invasion using 5G. Keep laughing.
No.
Keep laughing.
No.
Using 5 to 10G with the telecommunication systems. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's true. You got to look into it. And when they do that, they're going to be using free energy weapons technologies, the same ones they used to bring down the Twin Towers. That's what's really going on, guys. You guys got to wake up. You guys got to wake up. Okay. The people in power of this nation are corporates. This guy's sleeping right now. He ain't sleeping. He's awake. He owns something. He owns something big. Next to him, all those guys, guaranteed. First, they laugh at me, right? They laugh. They laugh, lie, cry, cheat, steal. and kill. That's the last one. They kill the good people who are fighting against them, and that's what's going on. Believe it or not, there's no aliens. They're fallen angels. They sold their souls to the devil. They're in a satanic Catholic sex cult. That is what's going on here 100%. You like that, huh? Pretty cool. Not cool, but pretty sad, actually. But this is what's going on through our whole nation. This is why you get families that are getting torn apart. These guys are acting like they're the special guys. They're not the special guys. They're the liars. They're the manipulators. They're the ones stealing everybody's wealth. And they're going along with these corporations. They don't realize they're going to get thrown away too. They think they're going to make it. They're not. It's a huge, it's an end game. Like I said, it's a new world order. But NASA, NATO, NASA, these branches, they're all part of the cabal. They're with the globalists. That's just how that works. I still got plenty of minutes, right? Let me think. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But yeah, those are the NATO's, like in Russia and Ukraine. Ukrainians, most Ukrainians are with the Russians. I mean, the Russians, they're not the ones blowing up Ukraine. It's Ukraine doing it. And we're the ones sending them the weapons because we're not paying attention. We're letting them steal all our money and do whatever they want with it. The globalist cabal, they don't care what we think or whatever. They're going to push anything on us. Okay. I still got like 4 minutes, right? 3, 4 minutes?
1 minute, 2 seconds.
There's so much more. All right. Yeah. The globalist cabal, the New World Order, this Catholic sex cult. This is all connected to Jeffrey Epstein. If you look at Jeffrey Epstein, this is all connection. This is all Hollywood down. It's all just, it's a microcosm. We're on the bottom with the guys with a little bit of money, and Hollywood's with the guys with the big money. This is just how this works. And believe it or not, I believe, this is my belief, it hasn't came true, but then again, NASA has not shown me a real picture of the ball Earth, so that's a total lie. We're living on a flat Earth. Believe it or not. Yeah, I'm a nutcase, conspiracy theorist. Say whatever you want. I do not care. Do not care. The more probably hours looking into this stuff than most farmers have farmed their fields, because I could probably out-farm them. And I've been doing this for the last 10 years of my life. So, yeah, I'm talking a little crap. I'm just nervous. But yeah, that's what's going on. And yeah, that's where we're at. I'm so happy that you guys gave me my 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. I thought I was going to have to wait another 3 weeks for this.
Thank you.
But I will be back in 2 weeks, right? To see where we're at, see if anybody kind of wakes up and realizes there's really going on. But yeah, Jesus' name. Crazy enough? Weird enough? No, anybody want to ask me anything? Nothing? Nothing at all? Usual. Sitting over there. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Shelley.
I didn't sign it.
Item 8 on the consent agenda. Motion to approve the minutes of the May 15th, 2023 regular session. Item B, motion to approve the annual liquor license renewals for Walmart number 109, El Magway, Rudy's Discount Smoke Shop, Trexmart number 15, McCorkle's, the Cameron Market, Nell's Country Restaurant and Jones Travel Plaza, and Righteous.
All right. Do we have entertain a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Now we move on to the appointments.
I did not have everything that I needed for the park board appointment, so I moved that back to the next meeting.
All right, very good.
I have everything now, I just didn't have it in time to count, so I apologize for that.
All right, Steve, it's your turn for his report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor, and I just wanted to report two things. One is that the staff is beginning to work on next year's budget, and the staff has their budget worksheets now, and some of them started getting them back. We will have, of course, a challenge to do all the things we'd like to do this year, but the staff will work hard on trying to get most of that done. To that end, as a follow-up on the May 10th session on strategic goals, we were suggesting that we do a 5 p.m. work session prior to the June 20th council meeting, and this would be a time for us to get our SMART goals out for the coming year, and you can then more specifically help the staff narrow that down if the council would like to do that.
Anybody have any questions for Steve? Comments?
Okay, well, what I presume then that would be a consensus to do that meeting. Okay, 5 p.m. before the next council meeting. Thank you. We'll bring some information back to you from what we got from Mr. Long's presentation.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I'm glad we're doing some follow-up on that.
Oh, we needed to. That was part of the whole process.
Thank you, Mayor.
Steve? Now we'll move on to unfinished business. Shelley?
We don't have any unfinished business.
That's right, we don't. We have new business. We don't have new business.
All right, we have an audit presentation by Rob Wilson with Accounting Solutions. Carmen, do you want to introduce them?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This year was the first year we have had Accounting Solutions perform our annual financial audit. We were very pleased, and I think we worked with our staff well, fulfilling their request. But they have completed their report, and would like to present that tonight. We have a 3-year contract with them, and this is the first of 3. So we look forward to working with them again next year, and just, able to adapt or adopt some, changes, improvements, different opinions that maybe we need to take into consideration. So we have Robert Wilson, who's the managing partner, and Nathan Thomas, who will give us our report this evening. Thank you. And I'm sure if we have further questions, they'll get back with us and give us the answer.
Good evening. My name is Rob Wilson, Managing Program with Accounting Solutions. Again, this is Nathan Thomas, our other partner. And we have just completed the audit for the September 30th, 2022 fiscal year end. And I'm going to go over that tonight with you here briefly. We've had, I believe everybody's been sent out the full report, so we got about an 83-page report on the city's financials. So we're going to try to do a high-level walkthrough here tonight, not get into too many of the details, but we'll be available for any questions tonight or any questions in the next couple of weeks if you can contact us by email. So first thing I'd like to start with is the independent auditor's report. It starts on page 3 of the document. And on the top of page 4 is the opinion paragraph, which is what I consider the most important paragraph in the opinion. And I'll just read that to you. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the City of Cameron as of September 30th, 2022, and the respective changes in financial position where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year ended, in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So basically with the audit, we had really very, very few issues. The internal controls were very effective. Staff documentation was what I would say excellent. So we've discussed some minor things with staff about kind of some things that we may do down the road. But we don't do a lot of changes on our first year audit because we're trying to get to know the city and know the the staff and how they operate before we come in with any kind of major changes. I believe we had 7 journal entries as part of the audit, which is fairly minimal. 2 of those were pension related, which is normal. Most of the cities do not do their own pension journal entries, and we come in and do those. 3 of them were related to the debt service funds. Again, something where the principal and interest is being reported one way. We break it out in a little bit more detail. And then a couple of minor journal entries. So overall, everything was in excellent shape. If you'll turn with me to page 15, this is the statement of net position for September 30th, 2022. And I'm just going to go through this, as I say, at a very high level. So this page breaks down the city by governmental activities and then your business type activities. Business type activities being your water, sewer, and that, solid waste. So in the government position, we're going to look at the top line, which was your cash position. For the year was $11.4 million. Business type activity at $6.2 million, for a total of about $17.6 million. Following that is some receivables as of year end, a small amount due to other governments. We get down to restricted cash. Again, $155,000 at the government level, $4.8 million at the business activity level, and for a total of $5 million. What restricted cash is cash that the city holds that is been collected for a specific purpose. So it has to be used like bond proceeds are going to be used for a specific capital improvement project or something of that nature. So total assets for the year, we have $50,750,000 at the general level and $39,500,000 at the business level for a total of $90 million. That includes your fixed assets, capital assets, all the assets of the entity. Liability-wise, pretty minimal here. Accounts payable, you have a total of $2.9 million, $2.1 million in general government, $774,000 in your business activities. Long-term obligations, which is your debt instruments. You've got a total there of about $15 million on the general side and approximately $10,600,000 on the business side. When Nathan goes through the notes, he'll have a little bit more detail on the long-term debt. Total net position, which is at the bottom of page 16. This is 29, almost $30 million for the general government and 26.5 for the business activity. The line above that has your unrestricted amounts, which are $7.6 million and $8.1 million respectively. All right, page 17. This is your statement of activities. On here we have statement of activities is a little more, unless you're used to reading these kind of statements, a little difficult to read sometimes. So the top left-hand section is your primary government, and the first column is your expenses broke down by category, general government, public safety. Total government expenditures there were $7.2 million. The next 2 columns are revenue items, charges for services, and operating grants. Those total about $3.3 million combined. So that shows that you had $3.8 million. Shows on the statement as a deficit. It's not really a deficit because in the lower right-hand section is your general revenues, your property taxes, sales taxes, which is where the majority of the city income comes from. So change in net position for governmental activities for the year was $2.5 million. On the business activities, they're in the center of that page there. Your expenses there are $12.6 million, center of the page on the left side. And then charges for services of around $11 million. Obviously, on your business activities, most of your revenue comes from the, charging for your water, your utilities, and that kind of thing. So you'll show here, if you look at the Second to the right-hand column at the very bottom, your change in net position for business activities for the year was a deficit of about $1 million. All right, so that gives you the view of the government in the what we call the full accrual and GAAP basis report. Page 18 through 22 is a breakdown of the government. This is more of a cash basis view, but this will break down the three funds or the three different sections of the general fund. So you have the general fund itself, the park improvement, and then the other governmental, which is made up of about 8 minor funds. Those funds are listed towards the back of the report. I believe it's page 72 to 75 has the details of those funds. I'm not really going to go through this because this really is a recap of the same numbers that are shown on the first view. The only differences here are you have three items that stand out different. First of all, this view does not show capital improvements. That's in the full accrual view. It also doesn't show the long-term debt, and it doesn't show the pension activity. Those are the three differences between this view and the first view. And then those are shown in the reconciliation items on page 19 and page 21. We then have the same information for the business activities. Those start on page 23. And so your business activities are your electric fund, water and wastewater, and solid waste. And so each of those is broke down individually. As you can see, the totals on the right-hand column there, those will transfer back to the very first view where we looked at it at the higher level. I'll stop there for a moment and take any questions that you may have on any of that, or if you need me to address something in greater detail.
Do you audit any of the municipalities?
Yeah, we do. We audit one county. We do about 8 to 10 municipalities. Probably another 6 to 12.
In the state of Missouri?
All in the state of Missouri. Fire departments, health departments, that kind of.
Okay.
And then besides that, we do about 50 nonprofit audits a year. So that's about 90% of our revenue is based on audit work. So.
Is the ship leaking or is it pretty tight?
Oh, it's tight. It's actually.
So we're not going broke or anything?
No.
Nobody's discounting with 300,000 at St. Joe to play on horses or anything?
Not that we can't miss. So we'll keep
We
looking
have
for
no
that.
knowledge of any allegations of fraud or suspected fraud.
Right. No issues. Like I said, the books were in excellent shape.
So in a nutshell, it's okay.
Documentation was
You feel
excellent.
good.
And I'm going to turn this over to Nathan if there's no additional questions. He's going to go through 3 of the notes. We're obviously not going to cover the entire 82-page document, but he's going to hit 3 highlights for you here.
Mayor, Council, thank you. As he said, I'm Nathan Thomas, Rob's business partner. Turn with me, if you would, please, to page 41 of the audit report. It's note 3, page 41. Give everybody a second to get there. Note 3 is the capital assets note. So as Rob said, on the statement of net position, that's kind of the full GAAP or accrual basis accounting where you have all of the capital assets in there. If someone, such as the council or a financial statement reader wanted to get into a little bit more detail to see how is that broken down across governmental or the enterprise funds, note 3 is the place to do that. So I'll probably just hit on the totals here, but I do want to say on page 41, it's the governmental activities. So think everything except for the electric, the water, wastewater, and that type of stuff. So you've got your beginning of the year balance at the beginning of the first column. So the very bottom number there, the beginning of the year net capital assets for governmental activities was $25.85 million. Then your second column are labeled as increases, so that would be any additions, so purchases, as well as current year depreciation. So those netted to an increase of 8.1 million. And then the third column decreases, think of that as your disposals. So disposals of about 347,000, and that's just things that are no longer in service, if you think of it that way, and they've more than likely been replaced. And then the far right column, the very bottom number, the total book value net of that accumulated depreciation at year end for governmental activities was 33.6 million.
Just because you build a swimming pool or a ball field complex, you put that on the books at cost where the cost is, or you don't have some magic?
So from a capital asset standpoint, everything has a useful life. So yes, if there is a cost incurred, if you think traditional governmental accounting, it's that expense or that disbursement to make that purchase of putting a pool in or something like that, then we come over the top in this view and capitalize that and depreciate it over the years.
So if a pool's $3.5 million and
Right.
depreciated for 10 years, let's say it's
Right.
normal.
It'll be straight line, so it'll be, 1/10 in your example there would be exactly how that rolls off. Yep.
I mean, you don't appreciate a pool just because it's built with $3.5 million. You don't just put a $6 million value on it or something.
No, nothing like that. It's all based in actual costs,
Okay.
the money that was expended by the city to purchase said asset. Yep, absolutely. Great question. All right, next page, page 42, the continuation of the note 3 for capital assets. So at the bottom of page 42, this is the beginning of the business type. Electric fund, again, I'm just going to hit on the bottom numbers here for the electric fund. Beginning of the year, capital assets for the electric fund, 6.35 million. Very minor additions, really just depreciation in the year, which netted to about a $300,000 decrease. And then in the bottom right-hand column, we've got 6.05 million book value, again, net of that accumulated depreciation for the electric fund. Page 43, continuation of the business type activities. The top section is for water and wastewater, kind of just slightly below the middle of the page there, that bottom line. Beginning of the year, 18.72 million in net assets for water and wastewater. Net activity, decent amount of depreciation in the year, so a decrease of 257 in the increase column. Disposals of 211,000 to arrive at your bottom right-hand corner, 18.25 million in capital assets net depreciation for water and wastewater. And lastly, the very bottom of the page, solid waste fund, beginning of the year, 25.14 million, decrease of 562,000. Disposals of, I'm referencing the total of all of the business types. If we're just looking at solid waste, it's very minimal. It's 62,000 beginning of the year, 5,400 decrease to arrive at 57,000 at the end of the year. Page 44, note 4. Note 4 on page 44 is the long-term debt. Similar to what we just looked at capital assets, we'll look at governmental activities first, then we'll look at the business type activities. So the bottom line there on the governmental activities, note for long-term debt. Beginning of year balance, 10.3 million. There were additions. I think the primary one there was the Series 2022 certificates of participation to the tune of 6.27 million. And then the reductions column, think of that as principal payments. So debt service on those debt vehicles for governmental activities, the principal payments totaled $642,000 for the year. And then the fourth column is the year-end balance of $15.97 million for governmental. The next page, page 45, continuation of note 4. This is the business types. I'm just going to go straight to the total business type activities right there in the middle of the page. So beginning of your balance, $8.38 million. There were additions, of which the primary one was the 2022 certificates of participations, and those were for the sewer plant expansion of $3.73 million. And then you've got the reductions column, which are those principal payments on business type of $718,000. To then arrive at your year-end balance for a business type of $11.45 million. Lastly, page 55. If you flip to page 55, please, that's note 5. All right, so as you're very well aware, the city has 2 pension plans. Both are with loggers, the state of Missouri. So you've got a general pension plan and you've got a police pension plan. So on the general pension plan, this page 55, You've got the chart in the middle, the bottom right-hand corner is the number I want to call to your attention. So it's a 9/30, it's September 30th year end, but there's an actuarial evaluation done on loggers once a year. That evaluation date was on June 30th, so that is correct, that we're representing this as June 30th. But that bottom right-hand number, anytime you see a negative number in net pension liability, that's a good news story. That's a net pension asset, which means that your general pension plan with loggers has a $1.5 million surplus at the end of the year. So it is more than funded, which is a good situation to find yourself in. Page 60, note 6, is the other pension plan. Page 60, note 6. This is for the police. As I just stated, bottom right-hand corner, the police has a surplus. Obviously, it's dependent on how many participants in the plan. This surplus is $250,000 at the year end. So said another way, very well funded. There was a focus probably 3, 4, maybe longer than that, 4 or 5 years ago, in governmental accounting to be very transparent in terms of what the status, whether they were funded or not, from pension plan was. So that's where a lot of these footnotes came from historically, just so you've got that background. But as we stated, the city of Cameron's in a good shape either way you look at that. All right, that's all I was going to hit on the notes. I think I'm going to pass it back to Rob, and he's going to hit on the management letters, and then we'll get out of your hair.
So again, on the management letter, so we have a management letter and we have a governance letter that we provide to the city. The management letter is a letter from the city to us stating that they've provided us all the documentation that we requested, not aware of any fraud, yada, yada, yada. Then we have a governance letter, which is basically a letter from us to you saying that we've completed our task, we've had no problems with management, or council, or staff. In that, we had one item, we had no, what we call significant deficiencies. So no major issues. We have one minor issue that we call out, which is standard on all the audits we do. So as part of the audit process, the audit report, the 83-page report that you have, is actually typically required to be done by the city. But unless you're the city of Kansas City or St. Louis, you don't have the staff or the resources to prepare that report. So what the one item that is called out is just saying that we prepared the report on your behalf. So that was the only, what I would call a minor item. Again, as far as internal controls, all of that, everything was in excellent shape, and we were very happy with the way the first year went. Final questions? And like I said, we're always available. If you have a question, please email us, and we'll get back to you on any questions you do have.
So we're not broke or going broke?
No, you're good.
What I wanted to hear.
There you go.
Come to the chase.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, my God.
All right. Now we're going to go to our readings. Our first reading tonight will be on Bill 2023-15. Shelley.
Bill 2023-15, an ordinance of the City of Cameron, Missouri, approving a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Cameron Police Department, Cameron R1 School District, Caldwell County Sheriff's Office, Clinton County Sheriff's Office, Davies County Sheriff's Office, and DeKalb County Sheriff's Office regarding law enforcement services.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Like Shelley said, this is a memorandum of understanding.
Give us a second. 1 second. We need a motion.
Oh, yeah. Is there a motion to pass?
Sorry, Mayor.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Go ahead.
There
Good
you
to
go.
go. Sorry about
I
that.
was listening, sorry.
No, we're glad you're anxious.
As Shelley said, it's a memorandum of understanding. We called it MOU. This is our yearly agreement between the Cameron Police Department and the Cameron R1 School District. There's no contract, no money exchange, nothing like that. As we all know, the school has their own police department now. So that police officer only has full jurisdiction over school property. What this agreement allows is for, if there's an issue at the school, he can call us for additional manpower. If he is investigating a crime on school property and has to leave to go talk to a parent or something like that, this allows him to leave the school property to go do that. It also, and he does contact us and lets us know prior to him going and doing anything. These agreements are very common among police agencies and task force. An officer, say with Cameron, can be assigned to a task force that covers the 4 counties. They would have jurisdiction in those 4 counties. Really, within the last, this last year was the first year that we worked with the school resource officer. It went really well. Officer Palmer was great to work with. We worked with him. He worked with us. His communication was very open with us as well as ours. As Shelley said, you'll see in the agenda, it talks about the other 4 counties. Officer Palmer and the Cameron School District has to do one of these meetings with those 4 counties also, since our school district lies in those 4 counties. Any questions?
Well, yeah, I was wondering how it went this year, and you said it went well.
It went well. It went very well.
And so when I saw this, I'm like, okay, so we must do this every year, because I remember talking about it last year, because that's when we did our first one.
Correct.
And
That's
so-
when, I can't remember, Lieutenant Meyer, the retired lieutenant from the Highway Patrol, the year prior, he was in there for a few years. When we had a police officer in the school, we really didn't have one of them because he was with Cameron PD. So since they went outside of the police department, now we have to sign the MOU.
So we'll be doing it every year, at this time.
This will be every year about this time, yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Any other questions?
Do you feel like this helps communication with children, parents, and the community, or?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Officer Palmer works great with the kids. If he has an issue that he can't handle down there, he'll call us. In certain cases, like higher level cases, he'll turn over to us to take care of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry that we have to have a police person in the school, but I see the date. I don't know. I worked at the school for a while, and it seemed like it might have been helpful to have some police there.
All right.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor of passing Bill 2023-15, say aye.
Aye. All those opposed? It passes 5-4, none against. All right. Now we're ready to do our resolution 2023-26. Shelley?
Resolution 2023-26, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cameron, Missouri, supporting HRM Development LLC's proposed development of affordable rental housing within the City of Cameron, Missouri.
I will entertain a motion to pass resolution 2023-26.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, Mayor, I wanted to go over the issue here, and you have a council memo in your packet. HRM Development is seeking a resolution of support from the council for the development of affordable housing known as Cameron Apartments. And the tax credit will be application will be filed by HRM with the Missouri Housing Development Commission for this development. It's to be located at 5 acres behind Walmart immediately east, and that land is owned by the City of Cameron. The development will consist of 3 buildings and 40 units. And if the council would like to approve this resolution of support, it will still require that the staff negotiate the transfer of the land, HRM, and that the necessary action be taken through the various boards that will approve the appropriate zoning and other lands transfer. And those things are included in the resolution. And if there are any questions, I know that Mr. Randall.
Yes, would you please come forward? I have questions.
Good evening.
Good evening. Well, you know, when you start digging into this stuff, it causes more questions. So I have some questions. Does anybody else? Go ahead. All right. All right. So in November of this last year, you were in front of the Maryville Council getting the second phase or third phase for their city. And at that time, you were there for Snyder Developments.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
who are you to Snyder Developments and whatever you are, HRM?
HRM is the consultant to Snyder Development. Snyder Development was the developer, is the developer of that property.
And who are you to them?
I'm sorry. say
And
that.
who are you to them? Are you an employee? Are you a member? Who are you to them?
To them,
What do
we
you
are
do?
a consultant.
You
We
are a
put-
consultant.
We put the application together, we take it all the way through closing, we take it through construction, we take it through property development, we take it through 20 years of management, so we wear many, many hats. We also provide the funds, the equity that funds the project.
Gotcha. Okay. I know. Okay. Now, here's a good question. I don't know if a lot of people know this. I didn't until I did some research. So, tell me, how long do these tax credits last?
15 years.
Okay. So, what happens after that?
Depending upon the rest of the financing involved, but after the 15 years, they can be sold.
Okay, so in other words, the owner of this development who puts this in because of tax credits, after 15 years, the tax credits are released and
They're used.
stopped and
Yes.
used. And so this building of 40 units can be sold. Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay, so how many of these units has your company built in the state of Missouri?
We are currently managing over 2,000 units.
No, I said built. You're managing is different than building,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. We can be developer, manager, consultant. We play all roles.
Okay. And when was the first one you did? What year did you first start one? Because I know this started in,
Probably 15 years ago.
this started in 1986 and became permanent in 1993. So when was your first one that you're working with,
That we're working with.
that you have worked with in the state?
We were with MHTC. I was the executive director of MHTC.
Yes, you were.
So we started I actually started in 1994. Deb Giffen also was with MHTC. We've been away from MHTC for approximately 15 years. So we as a group have been doing this for 15 years,
Yes.
HRM.
Right. I read about that in the paper. For those who do not know, would you please explain what that is? MHDC. I know what it is.
Well, it's Missouri Housing Development Commission. Every state has a state agency that allocates tax credits.
Okay. So now that you've been doing this for 15 years, what's happened to the properties that have passed the 15-year credits, that they're no longer there for the low-income housing credits?
Very few of them have, well, that's not true either. I would say the majority of the units are basically gone through another cycle of credits, typically at the 25th year. Some people sell their investment, sell the properties at the end of the 15-year compliance period. If you really want to get technical, it's 15-year compliance period and an additional 3 years that
Extended.
you have to hold it.
Yes.
Extended. Most of us have to sign an extended period, which is an additional 15 years. So our ownership could be up to 30 years.
Right. But you also have to maintain this, and a lot of times for tax credits to be used to maintain the buildings, a lot of times they don't get them, they're pretty sparse from what I've been reading.
They don't get what I'm sorry.
To actually have the tax credits to fund
the rehabilitation, to keep them up to snuff. A lot of times developers have a hard time. That money for tax credit is, I believe, pretty hard to come by. Is that true?
It's very competitive.
Right, it's very difficult. So, in other words, let me recap. Let me see if I'm right.
Okay.
So, you get tax credits to build these. We bring it into our community. We'll take care of the building, not the buildings, the roads.
And we're going to sign an Allura.
You're signing a Laura. I was going to ask you about that. I'm sorry, can you repeat that again for me?
Land use restriction.
I know what that is.
For 30 years.
For 30 years, okay. But I also know that those can also be changed.
Not that I know. You know something I don't know.
No. I know what that is. In fact, we have that over at our low-income housing with our veterans as
These
well.
don't get changed. They're in place for 30 years.
Okay, so when they sell them,
They have to, they sell it subject to that order. MHCC is still in control.
but they don't have tax credits.
Well, they use some tax credits.
Okay, so if this is under Laura, and it's under, and they've used the 30 years, can they not be put on fair market rent?
They can opt out of the program at the end of 18 years, where a new buyer would come in.
But where's this
The
new
buyer
buyer?
is subject to that same lure.
Okay,
The
so,
lure doesn't go away for.
okay, I got that, but buyers, people buying these will come and go, right?
Sure.
Right.
But after 18 years of the total improvement with a new investor, or theoretically could be.
With the current group that owns it, you could have a new group that owns it at the end of the 18 years. You
With
can opt
new-
out of the program at the end of the compliance period.
Could it convert back to just normal HUD housing then?
No, it's not that. It usually goes.
HUD housing is not the.
This is not
It's
HUD.
not.
No, it's not HUD.
HUD housing, money comes from the government to subsidize operating monies and capital improvements. This money is coming from tax credits, period.
Right, so,
Typically, at the end of, I think where you want me to go with this, typically at the end of about 20 years, we would take it through the program again, request tax credits for it again, or we would sell it to a developer who eventually wants to take it to market rate.
but generally after about 10 years, you're starting to need air conditioners, replaced roofs. With the tax credits all used, how is that going to be done? If you don't get the added, hopefully, the competitive tax credits
Our
to
operating
rehabilitate.
budgets have a replacement reserve that we fund annually. We start off with a replacement reserve, an operating reserve, and then we fund an additional replacement reserve on an annual basis.
Well,
We anticipate the project needing a rehab, obviously after 10, 15, 20 years as the components wear out. We are required to fund replacement reserves on an annual basis to take care of them.
okay, so tell me how has it worked for your other developments?
Very well.
Very well, after 15 years. Well, I have to look into that, because
All right.
Will you have to be a U.S. citizenship, or will eligible immigration status qualify you to live there?
It's a question I can't answer. I won't guess. I'll get an answer for you.
So if you have a green card, can you live there? You can on HUD housing, correct?
You have to have an eligible person in the household. So in other words, if somebody in the household is a U.S. citizen,
Okay, HUD Public Housing Program, Cameron Housing Authority. Annual gross income qualifies eligible. Number 3, U.S. citizenship or eligible immigration status.
right.
So what does that mean?
It means that an eligible citizen is a U.S. citizen, an
What if you're
eligible,
not? Okay, go ahead.
an eligible immigration status would be if you are living with, or married, or whatever. If you have an eligible U.S. citizen in the household, they can live there.
But it says U.S. citizenship or, it doesn't say and or. It says U.S. citizenship or eligible immigration status. It's separated.
Well, then that means that they have papers to show that they're legal immigrant.
You answered my question.
Why are we talking about HUD?
I don't know. Things can change. What's the rules today? Things can change in the lack of a contract.
But
Okay, so do they have to be legal immigrants or U.S. citizens to live in your properties?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's what you wanted, right?
and they have to be at our street.
I know you don't know this, but do you guys know how many low-income housing developments we have in Cameron? 8. Do you know how many low-income housing developments are in Chillicothe? 7. Do you know what the percentage of renters in the city of Cameron is? 48. Do you know what the percentage of renters in Chillicothe is? 46. So now we're going to have, actually when this comes in, we're going to go to 10 because you need 2. You're going to go for 2. So you're going to have 80 units is what ultimately you're wanting to get, but we're just doing the first one today.
Yes, I'd have to come back and go through the process again and get approval for additional units, but yes, I'd love to build a second phase.
I'm sure you would.
I think there's a need in your community. I'm sorry you can't see that.
I know that
A lot of good, hard-working people in your community that
most of the
need
people
help.
that you say are going to be in your council, they have made too much, so it's not going to be.
That's not true.
Well,
I've got a waiting list a mile long of people that need, and like I said before, the difference is mine is income-based, that's different than low income.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Income-based means that your rent is based on your income, and everybody's rent is different. Low income means that the property or whatever with regulations can set the income. So like I believe out at the Cameron Veterans Preference Housing, I think their rent is $575. Okay, so there's a difference between income-based and low income.
Right.
But I'm going to go to one of the questions that Mr. Evans asked, which is, because you made it, well, it wasn't a question, it was an opinion that you had, was that what you think that we need to do is to get more middle income places in Cameron to live. And I agree with you, but here's what is happening. Number one, you cannot build a middle income home anymore in Cameron. All right, the other thing is, homes that are selling that would be considered middle income are being bought up by realtors for renters. There's probably not going to be any middle income unless some of the realtors let go of the property that they had that could be. That's what's happening.
Well, that's where a vision of the city council comes in, what kind of housing we want in our community. We have a choice. We have the choice of the type of people the type of workers that will come here, the employers that will come here, and they will look at the type of workforce we have. And if most of them don't have cars because they live by Walmart, that will deter. And, the only reason you're picking Walmart is because every place else you wanted to go, they didn't want it in their backyard. So now you pick the prison. So these people get to sit in the backyard of a prison. That's what we're allowing. That's what we're doing. We're saying yes.
That's not even fair.
That's what you told us.
That's not fair.
Well, that's what you told us.
The way you're describing this is not fair.
But is that not true? Did you know?
And I go to Walmart all over the state because the convenience of being close to Walmart is great.
Have you asked Walmart if they like it?
90% of these people will own a car.
Okay, I don't know that.
That wasn't fair.
Is it any fair to say that teachers are going to have, what were you lobbying about teachers are going to have some type of study session for the residents there? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Just like she has her opinion, and Mr. Evans has his opinion.
It's an after-school program for the children.
An after-school program for the children.
And I'm going to fund it.
Okay.
That's, you're gonna fund it.
I
That's
think-
very fair.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful.
And we're gonna cure homelessness in Cameron, Missouri.
That's not what we're saying.
That's what he said last.
These people live and work in your community.
Okay.
These people live and work in your community. Either you care about them or you don't.
So we don't care about them now. So we don't care about them now.
I'm asking.
We don't.
Excuse me, these immigrants that come over the southern border,
I'm not talking about.
do you think when they go to the Upper East Side, the Upper West Side of New York, do they go to Bel Air? Do they go, or anybody else that cares?
Do they come to
When
Cameron?
When they go into the communities of these local politicians, do you think they say, well, come on in? Or do you say, well, we don't have the resources here? So you say that that's fair and I'm unfair.
What I am saying is I want to
You think Joe
have
Biden and Barack
working
Obama
people in
are
your
gonna have
community.
workforce housing in their backyard?
I'm not bringing immigrants in. I'm
No,
not
I'm not
busing
saying
anybody
you think you're
in.
gonna have
I'm
workforce
housing
housing.
people that live in your community currently, work in your community.
Okay.
They're the working poor.
Okay.
Do you care about them? I want to
If
build
I
new
don't vote for
houses.
this, I don't care about it. You just said that.
I did.
No, you just said that.
I did.
Okay. Okay, we'll get that straight.
I didn't.
You just said if we don't vote for this, you don't care.
Those words never
I
came
didn't
out of
say
his
that.
mouth.
John, I did not. hear
Good
that.
Lord.
I did not hear that either, but I'll tell you what, this
He
is.
insinuated it.
Oh,
No, he did
No,
not.
no.
that's great.
Julie, go ahead. Please, say something.
This is sad.
You're right, it is sad.
I'm sorry.
Because we're not saying that if we don't vote, the discussion right now shows that we don't care about low-income people coming to Cameron. Now, what he's talking is about workforce, people that actually work for their money, but they still don't make enough to live in some of the places in Cameron. I'm sorry, there's a great difference in level. We all know that, okay? But if they're here, they spend their money here. It doesn't mean that they're going to spend a lot of money, but they're going to spend their money here, and they work for their money. There are people out there that do not work for their money. I'll guarantee you that. I've got several on my property, okay? But if they want to live in Cameron, why can't they? I don't understand. Well, really? Because that's not the conversation I'm listening to. Why, if they want to be here, why can't they? What they need is housing, okay? I've just explained to you, we have houses that are being built for $300,000, $350,000, $400,000, $500,000, okay? Those people can't afford those. We have no middle-income family or houses because we have people realtors buying them up for rental property. So if they want to live here and those are the things that they can't afford, why can't we do something like this so that they can afford to live where they want to live? I mean, maybe there's a reason they want to live in Cameron. Maybe they've got family here. I don't know. What I do know is, in Maryville, the one is very well kept, okay? And we're never gonna, I understand that it's only as well kept as the management. I understand that completely, okay? But why not take a chance on one, and if it's not well kept, then we don't do another one.
It will be well kept because of the tax credits for the first 15 years. Yes, it will be well kept.
30.
Well, that, for the extended, yes.
I just don't understand how we have the right to say who can live in Cameron and why it's based on their income. But that I don't know about anybody else. That is the discussion I am hearing.
I am personally mortified by anyone that says we're not attracting the right kind of people to Cameron. That kind of not in my backyard is completely repulsive to me.
It's already taken place.
And
I have nothing to do with it. That's what I was
I'm
told.
surprised.
It's been done, it's happened in this community.
Well, I know, and it's horrible.
And I am here to try to counteract that.
Well,
Now, do we want to attract prisoners? Probably not anymore, we have a few. Do we want to attract people that don't want to work? I don't know, that seems to be happening all the time. Now, I do know for a fact that every time I ask somebody if they're looking for a house, how hard is it to find a house or a party here? It is just impossible. Houses, when I bought my first house and then 2.5 years later decided to sell it, it took me 2 years to sell my house. That was in Kidder, that's different. Nowadays, houses in Kidder are even getting snapped up in a week. Houses, we have renters getting on Facebook saying, y'all thinking about moving? Would you list with me before it goes to market? That tells me that we have a shortage of houses, and that is why the prices are so high, and we're going to have to combat that. The other thing that I believe with my entire heart is that whoever shows up is the right person.
Pete, can
I
I
don't know
ask?
how many times, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I do not know how many times I've had to sit in council and hear people say, well, we're just not getting the right people. The ones that are here are the right people. We don't have enough houses to house all the kids that wanted to graduate, that graduated from high school last year. My nephew is still living with his parents. And it's not because he doesn't have a good job. He's working at Altech. And his wife's with the post office. And they can't find a house yet because you have to have so much down payment. There's so many rules. Why don't we give people a little bit of a break and let them rent at a lower price for a while so they can save some money? When you're paying $1,500 for a house, you can't save anything when you're making $4,000.
Well, again, we have eight developments in this community, and we have 3 openings in those 8.
Let's get
We have
about 8 doors.
openings in those.
And then let's start at a school here, and let's start educating people. He's gonna have an after-school program so that people can be more educated. I wish more people in town were a little bit more educated, a little bit more self-educated. Do you know that Abraham Lincoln, one of our very best presidents, was mostly self-educated? Yes. Okay? I'd say give people a chance. I am very unhappy that we are fighting this so much. It's just embarrassing. That's all.
There's nothing embarrassing about getting them facts and getting them straight. There's nothing embarrassing about that. If you're leading a city, then we need to get our facts.
I know, but NIMBY is not a way to lead.
Oh, well, I just know that's what you told me. I was just repeating what you said, and I apologize if I offended you. But that was one of the first things you presented to me when you talked about this, is that nobody wanted it anywhere else, so that's why you went over there, because there's no neighborhoods to bother them, to bother. So I'm just speaking what you told me. I
So,
apologize.
what's wrong with that?
I don't know what's wrong with that, but I'm just thinking, not everybody wants to be in the backyard of a prison either, so I don't know.
I mean, if we've got people that are complaining because they're back there, I don't understand what's wrong with that.
Well, I mean, you're not going to live there, so, I mean, it's the people that live there.
I might wind up living there. Well, I am within his income limits.
That's,
So am I.
You know?
So, water, sewer, electric, obviously they're customers, but we're paying to put that infrastructure there, correct? We would be the ones doing that, or would?
We do it.
Okay.
That's a win-win.
We're going
Well, the question
to,
was
if I
asked
may,
earlier, and I wanted to make sure it was.
we're going to extend the street.
Right.
We're going to put our street in, our parking in. We're going to maintain all of that. And we're going to operate it and run it and pay our bills, pay taxes. So I don't know what the problem is.
No, there's not necessarily a problem, it's just the question was brought up earlier, I want to make sure we address it.
$300,000 for the site.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate development here.
yeah, no, so do I just want to make sure the gentleman's question that was
Right.
raised earlier was brought up. Yeah.
all developments have to do that. All developers do that. So this isn't anything out of the ordinary, because they all do that. But we do maintain it after it's accepted.
The street.
Yeah, but the utilities are already out there.
We're not like, we're gonna be selling 40 units worth of utilities and practically having to have no development and maintenance put on because it's such a short space. We're lucky.
Are there any other questions for I don't know if you can ask.
No.
You can't ask. Sorry. You can ask them afterwards. Any other questions? All right.
I would just like to make one comment, okay? And this is for the audience, okay? Just remember that no matter what the council votes tonight, this is not a sure thing because he has things that he has to do to make it a sure thing, isn't that right?
Yes.
You have to do the application and the application has to be accepted and.
We should know in December.
In when?
December.
In December. So
Start
this is,
construction
even
this time next year.
if the council votes for it, it's not a done deal because he has to take care of his part of it in order for it to be a done deal.
And we're going to spend about $30,000 putting the application together.
So basically what we're doing tonight is either giving or not giving our support to the project.
But no money.
No money.
Tax credits.
No money.
I don't want your money.
Tax credit.
Tax credits.
It's our money, tax credit. Bottom.
If you buy the tax credits,
Tax
if you buy the
credits-
tax credits.
Tax credits are provided by the federal government to the state. These guys.
Wait a minute, Missouri
They
has,
use our money.
Missouri has tax credits that they're throwing in the pool for this as well.
I know, but where do they get the money for those tax credits? From
We
us.
sell We sell them to bankers.
You know what, I'll tell you
We
what.
sell them to insurance companies.
I build little cars.
All right,
I wish I could do something.
we need to move on,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for the interest.
You want me to sit down?
Yeah.
You're definitely earning that $30,000 or, you know, whatever. I'm sorry you're having to pay $30,000.
Well, he's getting 60 for this, so.
Yeah. I think he's earning it.
All right. All right. All those in favor of passing resolution 2023-26, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
3 in favor, 2 opposed, and it passed. All right. Now, we're into our second public participation tonight. Anyone wanting to come and speak before us?
I'll fill that out in a minute. I guess somebody's stolen the paper again. My name is Marjorie Rhodes, and my address is 409 East 3rd Street. And I have a question for the council, and that is, what ordinance do we have in place for the dealing of the water, the sewer, and the electricity? Ordinances of metering, ordinances of processing, ordinances of complaints, ordinances of how that's done, any of that.
That would probably be under city procedures, is my guess. And you will get that answer for you because it will go to Steve and he will get that for you.
Perfect. I would love to hear from you about that.
I look forward to it.
I'm sure you do.
Thank you, Margaret.
And ordinances can be found online as well. It's
Right.
kind of a pain in the front, but they're there.
Is this second session we talk about anything?
As long as you didn't talk about, you can't talk about the second time what you talked about the first one. If it's not about the public housing, yes, because that's what you talked about. Okay.
As to the public streets.
Oh.
I would like to know why our streets are in such disrepair. I mean, we cannot drive down the streets safely or smoothly or comfortable. I want to know what happens to the money that's allotted, because I understand there's a lot of money in the budget goes into street repair. I don't know what it's called, public works, maybe I looked in the budget, it's not, it doesn't say street repair. I understand there's $500,000 goes in there, but it gets picked up or picked out. By the time it comes to fix these streets, the potholes, there might be a couple $100,000 left. It's going to go very far. And then this new transportation tax that we all voted on, if people can remember, we all thought, now said, we all, maybe not all of us, but there's a good percentage of people who thought that that money, $750,000, was going to go to fix streets, not for Griffith Road way out there. And I've got no problem with that. They put a sign out there and not let semis run up and down. But I want to know, when are the streets going to get fixed? And, I mean, I know it's not any one person's fault that's in this room, but it's a conglomeration of you folks that run this. And I don't think I'm the only one concerned.
No.
No, we've been hearing a lot about it, and it is a priority of this council, I will tell you that, and in the budget session. I don't want to be taking it out of that budget, but that's why we've worked so hard, and why we're doing our work sessions, is so that we can get a really good budget this year that's not going to do that.
Well, I think a really good budget would be not to take money on the street fund for stuff. Leave the daggone money in there. Fix our streets, because it's a pain in the butt driving on our streets. It really is. And, you know, I've had this conversation with city leaders before, and I know you guys do have a hard job. I wouldn't do your job for nothing. I mean, nothing. And I appreciate what you guys do, but I just don't appreciate the state of our streets. And I think with all the money, $500,000, a lot of to the budget, $750,000 taken in extra taxes, that's a lot of money. A couple of years we could fix our streets. Thank you very much.
No taken. We have an extraordinarily public works director who is watching over that closely, and I have all the trust.
Who is that?
The guy right behind you.
Eric, don't let them people rob your fun, man. Thank you.
I was going to say, doesn't some of that money, a lot of that money go towards new equipment and stuff that we've had to replace this past year? Is that not correct?
No. So have we, from the budget that we planned last July, have we taken money out of the street maintenance budget and put it someplace else?
The final budget that was adopted, the monies that was placed in the street improvement contract line item are still in that line item.
And what's the balance of them?
I don't have the exact number, I'm sorry.
Well, last time I asked, it was about $50,000, so.
I was wondering if some of that money paid for the equipment, because the equipment goes towards repairing the streets.
But that would be capital.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Once you put it in a line item and it's budgeted, it stays there.
Usually if we take money out of one fund and put it in another fund, we all know about it, I don't know about it, so I don't think we've done that, and she just verified that, so.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I'm not gonna say it hasn't happened before.
No, that's. Thank you.
So, just one more, am I wrong on that? That nobody's taking money out of that street budget, the pothole budget?
Not this year.
Just
What about last year?
Well, okay.
Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am.
All right, we need to move on. That's my job, I'm moving forward. All right. All right, if that's it, is anybody else? All right. So then we'll move on into our miscellaneous comments from the staff. And I'll start with Mr. Eric.
Yes, Mayor. I have 3 items. The first one is regarding the increase we've had in trash volume. Our contractor, RMW, expressed concerns about a couple weeks ago about the volume of trash that's been increasing. Strangely enough, we also have a high volume of recycle. So we looked at the potential issue of being that we're getting an influx of guests bringing their trash across city lines and then dropping it so that we can provide a free service for them potentially. It's been noted by the contractor and our city staff that it seems a little odd, like we seem to be getting large volumes, sometimes behind the rhythm of the collection. And so we're not quite sure what is happening, but we're getting notice from our contractor that his tickets at the landfill are going up in tonnage. So we're trying to figure out ways we can keep costs down for the residents of Cameron. And I don't really have any solutions tonight, but I have researched what other municipalities are doing, and then looking at some hybrid solutions that we could implement here. But those aren't ready for prime time. That would probably be a Public Works Committee conversation, and then once that's proved a little bit, then we would then bring that to the attention of the full council.
Did he differentiate between dumpsters being full or people putting stuff out on the curb that's double? I thought there was a limit to what you could put on the curb.
Yes, ma'am, there is. However, it seems that because the tonnage is going up and there is indication that we're getting guests, people from outside the community, they're coming in not as literal guests of our community, but they're just coming across the boundary and dropping their trash so that we can collect it for free as a service to them.
Right. The dumpster in my office gets full on just somebody cleaned out and there's baby stuff in there, and I'm like, okay, so nobody in this development has a baby, so this is somebody's dumping, and that happens on a regular basis. So I know that's just the one dumper. I've asked my landlord, I would help her put cameras out. Because once people know these dumpsters are not watched, that's what they do.
Yes, ma'am, I think that I'm talking primarily about curbside.
You're talking mostly curbside, okay.
Dumpsters, but the dumpsters would probably be part of the game plan if you're trying to get free service.
We do, I mean, they're bringing them in and putting their trash with other people's trash.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a limit to what they will pick up, okay?
And they
So, but the other thing would be, what?
No, I think they don't pick it up if it's past the limit.
The limit's quite high, though. The limit's like
Well, and
four
then- and so-
big containers, so if someone
And so
doesn't
maybe
want
that's
to
what
get that.
maybe that's what we ought to look at. But you're saying it's curbside.
Yes, ma'am. The indication is we really don't have a before kind of a look at, okay, was this your trash? Was this someone else's that came out? We don't have that yet, but we do have indication from crews in the field that say that something looks off, and then the tickets at the landfill are causing concern because the tonnage is higher than it has historically been. So now our contractor is saying, we need to do something about this. We're encouraging through the newsletter for Cameron residents to not put trash in recycled material. So if you have cardboard, that's clean cardboard, this wouldn't be pizza boxes, that kind of things. Don't fill it with diapers or other trash. Separate recycle from trash, and then we'll be able to then reduce our tonnage of trash.
You're gonna, I mean, you can make that suggestion, but until you make it a requirement, it's probably not gonna happen.
Yes, ma'am. We're hoping that some people will comply. This is just part of the drill, but really what it's going to amount to is it's something we may have to look at something more creative to fund this without causing an increase to everybody. But I'm not really prepared to talk about numbers or anything like that tonight.
Thank you for giving us a heads up.
Second item, Griffin Road update. CP Excavating, our hometown contractor, who is a working contract, is working to establish agreements with subcontractors, and we're preparing to schedule a pre-con with them for the end of the month. Their initial schedule was approximately start paving in July. Right now we don't have a firm schedule from them, but we're working toward the pre-construction meeting and getting a firm schedule once they have some of these things ironed out with their subcontracts. So right now, not a lot of action is seen, but CP is working behind the scenes. Third, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said all right.
Third item is Northland Drive. That is the drive, obviously, that goes to the park, the new park that we have out there. We've been working with property owners to get easements. We've made some progress. We had a little bit of stalemate, but now we're, I think, down to 2 property owners that are pending now. I should say there are 3 that are pending and 2 that are kind of outstanding outliers. We're not sure how long that will take or what that process will be, but we're down to probably 2, which is good news. From 8 to 9.
That is.
And that's all I have for Public Works update.
Thank you, Mary. Tim, do you have anything for us?
Yes, just wanted to give an update on the Balloon Festival this past weekend. I'd like to thank Michael Down, his crew, Dan Miller, Chief Basher, and crew, Nathan Jones, and all the volunteers who helped
be removed by Friday the 9th, the 12th for their regular mowing. And also,
We have openings for cemetery sexton, facility maintenance worker, city inspector, and administrative assistant accounts payable clerk. Please go on our website or on Indeed to apply.
All right, please do.
Well, I just want to say that I'm really sorry that I missed the balloon festival this year because I understand that it was awesome. And so I would just like to give my thanks and a shout out to all the volunteers that helped make it a success.
Hey, I'm there with you, Wayne. You know, in government seems to operate on the function of free money utopia. Whether you get grants or something, wherever you build a project, whether it's Bob Griffin Road, any the trails at the lake, ball fields, swimming pools, however the initial funding is, and eventually you have to maintain it. So we've got some maintenance issues, and I'm with you. You know, you got the water department now is down to two full-time employees. We've got those 3 cuts in the water line on Chestnut, right south of the police station. 3 cuts right there in the road. You know, the deal's been there for 3 weeks. We got the parade, 4th of July parade coming up the 4th. So we need to get that fixed. I don't know if you sub it out or something. But yeah, we've got a lot of maintenance issues. And just because something is free, it's still got to be maintained eventually. It wears out. And I wish I had a magic wand to do it, but I don't know what to do. Thank you.
Gina?
The cemeteries looked very nice this year, even though they were down a couple of people. The Parks Department really stepped up. And I appreciate it. And Public Works. Definitely, thank you all for doing that because, you know, as I've said before, lots and lots of my relatives are buried in cemeteries here in Kidder and Hamilton places, and so it's very nice. And also, I've been talking about planning and zoning for a long time, and I hope that we can continue some of the work that we've done in the past year or so with looking at some of the planning and zoning rules. And I'm not a great big favor of restrictive rules, but we are talking about making a few restrictive for downtown that Main Street wants. And I'd kind of like to loosen up a few, some in the residential areas. So I'm hopeful that we can work with planning and zoning and talk about that in the future.
Alex?
Well, it's too bad this the hot air affair ended yesterday because there's plenty of hot air today to keep things going. I just wanted to recognize Steak and Stuff. They're reopening tomorrow? Is that correct? Go out and support them. It's not easy to take a loss like that and rebound. So go out there and support them. Thank you.
That's right, I agree with you. I was volunteer for the Balloon Fest. That was lots of fun. It was really hot. And I really thoroughly enjoyed seeing the whole community come together with the volunteers and our service people. Steve was there helping set up tents, bless his heart. And I was too. He now knows how to set up all these different kinds of tents you didn't have before. So it was a success, but I think Historical Society, and hopefully we'll be doing it next year. I got to talk to the ballooners, that's what they're called, and they enjoy coming to Cameron, so they look forward to coming again next year, if they have it, which I think they will. Other than that, I think that's all I have, and you know what? We always need to have a little hot air once in a while, you know, clean out the cobwebs, get some information, so that's all good. All right. That's it. I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive meeting. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?